But also like the 80s was like the decade of neon.
Yeah.
Big hair.
That's fun stuff. That's the fun part. Okay, remember Jaws? Remember the invention of the summer blockbuster in 1975? Yeah. Okay. 80s grabs that thing, turns the whole movie, film, television industry, everything into a machine.
But it's like E.T. It's like the rise of...
Yes, this was it. This was absolutely it. Movies started becoming global phenomenons. Up till this point, nothing close. I mean, technically. You could say, like, well, the 70s and Spielberg and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I got it. But, like, studio, remember, this is the operating system. So back in the 70s, they didn't have the operating system. It was like one and done. They, like, did something magical. They had lightning in a bottle. Then in the 80s, studios figured out how to build the franchise.
Okay.
They built the ecosystem. They built the machine to make the whole thing work. So when you think about literally any movie you watch today was spawned from the 80s. Huh. Whether they were like original comedies back in the 80s or whether they were the action thrillers, whatever it was.
Okay.
Every one of them goes back to somehow because the 80s were involved in sort of kicking off that next level of film. So like the 20s started it all, right? But the 80s rebooted it and we're still using it 40 years later, the same concept. You with me?
Are you talking about like this how cult classics came along?
Yes. But it's everything. It's even think of like all the franchise stuff, all the merchandise that's available, all the soundtracks. The movies are
you're just saying more
massive.
the capitalism
the
of
movies
it.
They made it, like I said, a phenomenon. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Then same time, whole another industry, 80s, you have home tech. Okay. So before the 80s, no home tech. You did have tech.
Yeah.
But there was no access to tech in the 70s and 60s. Like my dad had to go to work and like use the big supercomputer at work.
Oh, yeah.
You with me? Yeah. Right. So the 80s, everything came into your house.
Yes.
So video games for the first time, home computers for the first time, the VCR for the first time. All of this entertainment went from external to internal.
Huh.
And the 80s turned that
whole
thing.
Yeah, the 20s are really fucked.
What? What do you mean?
Because we have too much access to all this.
Oh, now you do.
In the 20s.
Yeah.
Like think about my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they were born, in the 10s,
right.
but
you know,
as a 20s kid.
Yeah, we don't know.
Screwed.
The jury's out.
I don't know. And by the end of the 20s, we're supposed to have like robots who clean our house.
It's going to be nuts. And so that might be another shift. I don't know. But when you think of movies, think 80s. When you think of home, like access to all technology, think 80s, right? So I'm trying to get you to sort of figure out, okay, I'm getting how this operating system, right? I'm trying to get in your head a little bit there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you also had MTV, right? Which might sound like, duh, like MTV's been around forever. But this was the first time music became visual. So another massive shift. So up to that point, couldn't see anything, right? It was crazy. Now all of a sudden.
But Elvis was on the TV.
Once a month?
So you're just talking specifically on like there was a channel that you could tune into music.
Literally. And then it changed how rock stars prepped. They had to start wearing makeup. They had to start looking a certain way. They had to start behaving a different way.
Way too down the rabbit hole.
It changed fashion. So back to your neon, to your what was it? The leg warmers and the neon.
Yeah.
Everything. Because everybody had to now look good, right? Which was like super overwhelming.
Okay.
And you had access all at one time. Right? So anywhere in the world, when you tuned into MTV, everybody was watching the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
For the first time. Now you could do that everywhere, right? I could game.
But see, here's like my fear.
What?
I don't know. This is just like heightening my anxiety over everything. But my fear is ultimately like you think about now in the 20s and like everything is in the palm of our hands. I mean, that started 2000s?
Literally. Yes.
But it's frightening.
I know.
Okay, anyways.
But excellent.
Okay, so we have movies, home technology.
Yes.
And then evidently MTV somehow. Like I don't even.
Yeah.
That blows my mind how that like is the same like the same level.
Whatever.
But is there anything else?
Cul-de-sacs.
I'm sorry, what?
Cul-de-sacs, baby.
That came in the 80s?
Let's go.
I mean, I love my cul-de-sac, let me tell you.
So I think you're like calling me out on all the little nuances. So no, they actually started in the 50s and 60s. Okay. But same color. Bear with me. I got an argument for every one of these. Okay. Cul-de-sacs. So the difference is in the 80s, suburbia started becoming its own culture. So up till that point, even through the 70s, even though they already had suburbs, they already had cul-de-sacs, culture was still considered urban or like city or like political. It wasn't like the default experience to like live in a cul-de-sac. Kids in the 70s like did not have the same freedom that kids in the 80s had. It was a totally different time. So they were still dealing with like the New York financial crisis, Wall Street, Watergate, Vietnam ending. It wasn't until the 80s when the malls,
and
Stranger
80s,
Things,
yeah.
the malls, right? Everybody started building malls, became the new social hub.
Fair.
Right? We talked about, and also the two, like, what would you say, the two parent working dual income,
Dinks,
whatever
but
you
they
call
have
them.
kids. Dual income, no kids.
Sort of for the first time, two parents are now working. So,
you meant with
like,
kids.
Yeah.
Okay, dual income parenting. Got it.
The 80s for me, like I did grow up like Stranger Things. I grew up like that. I went out on my bike. My parents didn't see me for 10 hours. Like they didn't give two shits where I went. You couldn't pull that off in the 70s. There wasn't enough people that had moved to the cul-de-sacs yet.
Oh, okay.
If you like this content, subscribe, leave a review, and share with us your episode ideas. We'll pretend like they're ours and pass them off as our own. If you like this short and want to watch another, click here. If you want to catch a whole episode, click here.